Got it.
Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Quagenti, and I'm here for the Self-Directed Education Zoom call. Believe it or not, this is the 22nd call. We haven't done any this year, but we've done some in the previous years. And I started setting these up with the other admins just to talk about self-directed education and unschooling, to share resources for families and parents, and to answer questions and to really build the community. So families and parents are confident executing this style of education, which to me is just so exciting. And it's been working for me and my family for many, many years now. Um,
I love that.
so we can, if you're interested, we can just do quick intros and
Sure.
then just see where the conversation goes.
hmm Hi, everyone. My name is Julietta Duval, and I started, we were pandemic homeschoolers, kind of like crisis homeschoolers for, 2020. And then we discovered unschooling throughout some of the readings that I did during that year. So we fully embraced the lifestyle kind of late 2020, early 2021. And we dove head first. We went all in, and we have been living this lifestyle since then. So um it's been amazing. It really has been a journey. It has been really a journey of transformation, mostly for me. As the boys kind of took to the lifestyle right away, they were very open to let me know what was working for them and what was not. And I will forever be grateful for their courage to watch me go through my growing pains as a parent. So yeah, so that's a little bit about us. We live in Michigan, and we also travel a little bit here and there. So we do, like, what is it, road schooling during in the US, and kind of world schooling in different countries. So yeah, that's a little bit about us, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Let's just check with Mrs. Wilson if she wants to do an intro or if we should just kind of continue the conversation. You can let us know in the
Mhm.
chat, or just while we're checking on that. How old are your boys, Julietta?
My boys are 9 and 4.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay,
hmm
my daughter just turned 10, and just so everybody knows, we started unschooling in 2019. And
Wow.
then the 2 years before that, my daughter went to a Montessori private school, which was
hmm
child-led. It was authentically a child-led school. So
Okay.
I may have just jumped right into homeschooling and unschooling, but I needed a lot of deschooling myself. Um,
Yeah.
I understood the philosophy intellectually, but I didn't know how to execute it. I didn't
hmm
know how to maintain like my boundaries while also allowing her so much freedom. I
Yes.
was raised in a very authoritarian parents and went to
hmm
public school and even Catholic school. And, it felt to me that the message I was getting from all of the elders and adults around me were that children needed to listen and obey, or there was punishments and
hmm
consequences, painful consequences. So what I heard of the first thing I heard of was the Sudbury School, which I heard about the original one, which is here in Massachusetts, which is where I am. It resonated so deeply, allowing children freedom. And for me, from a spiritual perspective, I really wanted my child to stay connected to her intuition and her inner knowing and her maybe you could say a little bit of psychic senses, because with me, I was sensitive and intuitive, but I was taught not to listen to myself, that I was wrong and I needed to do what the parents said because they were right. So shutting down my intuition was, I went through some really dark, difficult times, mostly in my teens. And I really didn't kind of go through a healing journey till almost my 40s. So it was a long time of ups and downs and feeling confused and low self-esteem. There were some great times in that period as well. I'm not going to say it was all negative, but it was just work hard, play hard was what I had adopted, was, my lifestyle for many, many years, and just burning the candle at both ends, and kind of going crazy being a young adult with so much freedom because I didn't have any freedom growing up. So when I learned about the Sudbury School, and I learned that there's ways that you can allow children to stay connected to their spirit, connected to their intuition. You can allow them freedom to choose what they want to learn, and that they end up happy and connected. Yeah. So right away, and that was when I was pregnant. So that was 10 years ago that I found out about the Sudbury School through Abraham Hicks, a spiritual teacher. And then I was just like, okay, how am I going to execute this? And so my process of learning and researching and trying methods has been, like you said, it's been a long journey, but I'm so happy that I've taken it, and to be here. So I don't consider myself an expert, but I will say that I have 10 years of research and practice.
Yeah, I really love what you said about staying true to ourselves, though, because I feel like that's the one thing that we lose. We come into this world, into this human world with it, and then slowly kind of gets taken away, or not taken away, but rather kind of like muted a little bit, right? Where we just don't listen to it. So that has been, it's been really nice to be allowed, just to give the boys freedom to say their thoughts, and express their feelings, and to say no whenever they want to, or whenever they need to, and it's not like they're being rude, or it's just what they feel in that moment, right? So I had definitely come a long way with that, for sure. And same here. I don't consider myself an expert, but I think I have been through, gracias, amor. I have been through all of those transition moments, that where you have doubts, and when you have people that are not supportive, and when you feel like you're all alone, and when you feel that there's no one else in this world that has walked this path. And it's just, when you find someone else and you're like, oh, their story is similar to mine, because everyone's journey is different. I really like sharing that, in letting people know that they're not alone. So many people have done this before, and finding ways how to do those transitions. So yeah, it's really nice to find more people are searching this type of lifestyle, this type of living with their children. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is so nice. And I'm a big fan of community. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat. Um,
No, you're fine.
I'm a big fan of community in general. I've always just loved gathering people, and
Yeah.
just having fun, but sharing. And years ago, when me and some other parents started the self-directed education group, I couldn't find anywhere to chat with parents.
Mhm.
I did find the Alliance, which I still love, and
Yeah.
it's a great resource. It's the
Hmm.
Alliance for Self-Directed
For
Education.
self-directed education.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's Peter Gray's nonprofit, and that's
Hmm.
for me, that's kind of like the holy grail of self-directed education. It's just what I resonate with.
Yeah.
So people can use that as a resource, and I'm on. You can pay a small fee, and then you can map your community, or
Hmm.
your community, your group. So I know. And maybe we should get into kind of like what we're doing now, like how we can help
Hmm.
others. So, but first we can say, hi,
Hi, Deborah.
Deborah.
Hey there. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can hear
you.
you.
Okay,
Hmm.
good.
Just so you know, we are recording this for, I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel, just for anyone who hasn't, who wasn't able to attend.
Monday.
So if you'd like, Deborah, you can do an intro or you can just kind of pass. It's up to you.
Well, I can introduce myself. Yeah, my name's Deborah Sullivan. I live in Massachusetts, and I know Andrea and I have, met where our kids play sometimes, and I've homeschooled on and off for many years, and it's been an up and down kind of experience for myself and for my daughter also. Yeah, so I mean, like, I like to get information from anybody, everybody. I love to see what everybody's doing, and just try to learn something every day about it. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Yay, Deborah,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just did some basic intros, and I think it's good if we just talk about what resources we do have. So I'll just go first. Like I said, so me and some parents started the Self-Directed Education Facebook group a couple of years ago, just for a place to chat and to share resources. So if you're finding this recording somewhere else, everyone is welcome to come join. Again, it's Self-Directed Education on Facebook. It's a private group, and we talk about all things self-directed education. And everyone is also welcome to share their resources if you're a coach or a support person, or if you have a school. I find it just so exciting because I love learning about the Sudbury schools or child-led schools or world school hubs. So I think what I found and what I really love is realizing that people are doing this all over the world. It's not just here in Massachusetts. It's not even just in the US. There's schools all over the world. Some are called Sudbury, some are called the free school, some are called democratic schools. There's there's one in there's a really long-standing one in England called, I think it's called Somerville or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of people are doing this, and we can help you. I'm just getting a notification. So
Yeah.
I also have a YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is called Aqua Rose Life, which is it's a lifestyle video blog of me and my daughter unschooling, world schooling, and then all different information about self-directed education, and also some with the spirituality.
I love that. Yeah, so for me, I'm Julietta Duval, and we started unschooling. We were homeschoolers, during the pandemic, and then we transitioned fully into unschooling. And I founded the Unschooling Lifestyle. That is basically how we live right now. I have been a flight attendant for a major US airline for 18 years. In aviation, it's a way of lifestyle. It's so different than anything else. So when we became unschoolers, that was part of it. And that's Ari. He's so excited because he got a fish yesterday. So he is excited to tell everyone about his fish. So that's kind of what we do. We've been learning a lot about unschooling, how to support the boys and their passions. And most important, for me, how to decondition myself, which I've been working hard on that since we started. So nowadays, we do travel, we road school, we world school, and we like to help others support, we give support in those transition moments that are often kind of hard sometimes. And, and you're not alone. So that's kind of where we come from. And you can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, our blog. And we're considering for a world schooling hub, we're considering going to Belize. So there's a world schooling hub happening in Belize in January of 2024. So it's kind of like it's a planning, the journey of planning, it's starting. So it's pretty exciting. So yeah.
Awesome. Yay. And I know Julietta and I know each other from working with Dana Martin with her Radical Unschooling. And I know she's planning a conference in February. Are you thinking about maybe going to that one as well?
Yeah, so right now the way the dates are working out is that we would be hopefully in Belize for 2 weeks. And then from Belize, we will be flying into Miami and then doing the conference and then coming home from Miami after being in Belize as as well. So
I want to show my fish.
I will young one, okay.
We can see his fish.
So
I'd
let
love
me
to see his fish.
I'd love to
Let
see
me
that. Be
you'll
awesome.
love to see the fit here. You ready? Here, I'm gonna put on the headset. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
There.
I got a fish.
I can't see it.
See them.
What
Let's
color is
see.
it?
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's kind of blurry. Whoa, what
Is-
kind of fish is
I
that?
don't know.
It is a fish.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Can I get that?
Did he name his fish?
I think it's hard to see with a blur background,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's his fish. He said he's been working on trying to get this fish because he said I used to have a fish in space. Why can I have one here?
That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah, so he bought a submarine yesterday for his fish, which we didn't know he bought a submarine the day before yesterday. And we weren't planning on getting a fish. And then yesterday we went to the store and he found his fish. He looked through the tanks and he said, this one. And he's like, this is my fish. I'm like, okay. So there was no like, oh no, we're not gonna get it. It was just not an option for him. He was his fish and he had found it. And so we got him and he's been happily living in the kitchen since yesterday, but we gotta change the water and stuff. So yeah, but he was he needed his fish, I think. So we got him.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So
And that's also, it's a great, just kind of like real life example, like unschooling, like, I can only imagine everything he's going to learn for having the fish and caring for the fish. And I think it's fascinating that you were saying that, he had a fish,
mhm.
what,
When
how
he
did,
was in space.
when
He
he was
said,
in,
I had a fish when I was in space. Why can I have one here? And he also says that he is a space mom and he has a space dad and a space brother, but and he also has a girlfriend. His name is Tina. And I don't think they have sugar in space because sometimes he loves his sweets. My son loves his sweets. When I tell you he loves them, but he leaves some candy on a little bowl and puts it on the window for his space mom.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, so we leave the candy and
Awesome.
then and sometimes I feel his longing from his space family, he calls them, is greater on other, days. So we go out and talk to the moon and say hello to the space family. And and he won't let me kiss him a lot, but if I say that he's a kiss from his space mom, he'll let me do it.
Oh, nice. That's a
Yeah.
great way to get in what you need and also give him what he needs to.
Yeah, he's so amazing in that. And if that is probably part of the spiritual journey that we have been on together, and to give him some of what he needs in terms of freedom, because Ari, I don't know that I would have been able to parent him if I had not gone through this journey. Like, I probably would have said, what space family? We're your family. I'm your only mom, but it's not. So we share it's but yeah, definitely would have not been able to parent him at all, even like 4 years ago. Probably I'm still, every now and then, it's still like a reminder of how long I've come. So
Right.
and this is your 4-year-old son?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I have so much coming up that I'm thinking about. So first, just like awesome that I think when kids have a spiritual experience, and
Mhm.
they're having memories, that the best thing we can do as parents is just to listen and honor them. So
Mhm.
exactly what you were saying is not say like, that's not true. This
Mhm.
is, so it's kind of shifting from like a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So instead of
Yeah,
saying, this is how it is, we're your family, get your head out of the clouds, you need
yeah,
to focus on here. Not that there shouldn't be some focus on the here and now, but
yeah.
instead to shift from honoring his memories, his feelings,
Mhm.
even honoring children's imagination, I think is huge in a shift from, traditional schooling or traditional parenting into more of a conscious parenting and then an unschooling philosophy. So I just think it's so great that you are at a place where you're allowing him to not only talk about those memories, but to keep them alive and to help
Yeah.
him feel comfortable.
Oh yeah. I mean, he will tell you that there is yeah, he's super cool though, but his memories are really great. My oldest has some memories too, but I think his side of that it's a little different than Ari. So yeah, it's really interesting though. So, but saying that, keeping those memories alive, it's been really important. And I've had a lot of good help in just giving me some resources like articles, podcasts and stuff like that. So I really we have really come a long way in that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So we were also just going through resources. Deborah, I don't know if you had any resources that you wanted to mention or add to the conversation.
Um, well, to be honest with you, I mean, like I have used the ones that you have used also, but like um the best resources that I have found is just um parents that have been willing to be really, really just like uncomfortably honest with me, because I appreciate that. That's what I personally need. Like, you know, as much as I can get it, and which, and sometimes it's, it might be asking a lot from some people, but if they're willing to just give it freely, or just, because they need to as well, and they need it, that has been the best for me. And when I shift back, you know when my daughter was younger, I mean, I never considered homeschooling her really until she went through preschool, which was fine. It was easy, gentle. The teachers were very sincere, and so it was like 2 days a week. And you know, and then when she got into kindergarten, that was a whole different story. So I didn't, it just didn't, it just none of it sat well with me at all, like none of it at all. So that's when I took her out and began the journey, and trying to find people that you know did it this, and the different ways that they do it. And it's just been like just so many, like millions and millions and millions of rabbit holes. And I still will fall into that sometimes if I let myself, but it doesn't really get me anywhere, to be honest. It really comes from just my gut and what I think is best. And that's really the yeah, that's when we make any step at all, steps into like what is she really gonna need, and what does she need right now. And like I don't know, do you have Juliet, you have other children as well as the one that
Yeah, so I have a 9-year-old and I have my son Ari. So Anthony, he did go to a Montessori, he went to a Montessori like preschool. And he was fine, but I was so um I was, I don't want to say like absent, but I was working a lot, and I went back to school during that time. So I wasn't really, I was there, but I really wasn't connected. And that probably was the biggest realization I had. But we had other things too at the school. And in term, like when you say like what they need, Like
Yeah.
I remember when he was transitioning from that Montessori school into like a regular first, another school. He was going into first grade. They told me, we did the observation and they sat me down and they're like, he doesn't know how to read. He was in first grade. He was going into first grade. And I was like, I went
And-
into panic mode.
yeah.
So yeah. Have
That was a big
you?
problem for them, right? Like that was a big, he doesn't know how to read, so that's gonna hold us
Yes.
from the rest of the class and the
Mhm,
whole class
mhm.
at the same time. And so, that makes you think, well, okay, like you question yourself. So, yeah,
Yes.
I understand. I do. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I think that's why when Andrea made the introductions, that the biggest thing for me has been the transformation in personal. I'm still working on it. I did a lot through Dana. Dana's program was very helpful to me in terms of uh kind of letting go and seeing other people's experience, and that really helped out a lot. But I realized that sometimes everyone's timeline is different. So what they think they need, like the schools and like the teachers and whatnot, it's not really what the child or even us, sometimes they tell us, well, you need this. I'm like, well, no, I really don't. But but it's
Yeah.
it's just listening to you, and I love that you do that, because that is really the most important thing, staying true to yourself, and helping your child know that they have choices, and that they have just they're available to feel that intuition, to act on that intuition. That's what they have. So
Yeah.
how old are your children, or do you only have one, your daughter?
I have one daughter. Yes.
Yeah.
One daughter. And, that's, um, only children, the dynamic of it with like being a single parent, it, can be, it can be great. And it also can be like a never ending, needs that just doesn't get filled. I'm mom, my
Mm-hmm.
dad, I'm brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousins, because all the cousins are grown up and older, like I'm an older mom. So, it just happens to be that, some families have that, but we don't. And so, my struggle is to not look at it like strikes against her, but like, you know, just things that she will be more stronger in, maybe. Hopefully, I hope so. I mean, it's really hard to read it sometimes, and um, you know, I don't know. It's yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and not so many people understand. They, oh, one child is easy. That's easy, but it's not necessarily the truth of the matter. But I mean, I think it's how you perceive it too, and every day is a new day, and you just kind of like live it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to jump in for a minute and just say hi to Danny. Welcome to the call. We're just talking about all things unschooling and self-directed education. If you'd like, you can come introduce yourself, or if you'd prefer, you can just stay quiet.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, it is all right. Okay. Mommy of
Totally.
two. Great. Do you want to just tell us
Mhm.
how old your children are? Oh, 1 and 4. Awesome.
Oh yeah, you're in the thick of it too.
Yep, that sounds like it for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love that.
Well, welcome, Danny. Okay. So she's just
Okay.
saying in the chat. I don't know if the chat will show up on the recording.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see it. She says it's hard with a crying emoji. So
Yeah.
yeah,
she's
well, I'm saying this because we're recording the conversation. So I'd like to
right.
just continue to lead the conversation, if that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And in leading the conversation, I'd like to just probably give a little bit more information for anyone that might be catching this on recording. Um, So if it's, I just want to make sure it's okay, Danny, that I share what you're saying on the chat, because this will be recorded and uploaded. I just want to get that go ahead. Okay, great. All right. Yeah,
Okay.
so Danny is just sharing that I'll just sorry, I'll just start over again. She's a mom of two, 1 and 4-year-old. Her husband doesn't understand unschooling
Mhm.
and it's hard. Um, do we have any tips? Thank you. And it's okay to change topics or not. So
Sure.
let's see. Are we comfortable just jumping in? Because this, Deborah, I think this might go into a little bit of what you were saying, and Julietta, I think we've all experienced it. Which
Mhm.
again, this is why me and some other parents started the self-directed education group, is so we would have a place to talk to people that were knew about unschooling, that were actually using it or embracing it, or at least wanted to learn about it. So that's very, very
Mhm.
different. When I started to learn about unschooling and self-directed education, I didn't know anyone like in the physical. There was no one I knew. And when I brought
Mhm.
it up to my teacher friends, it was not only was it not supported, it was like, what are you, crazy? So
Yeah.
uh, so not having people that understand it, and then not, without, so for Danny, whose husband doesn't understand it, Julietta, I feel like you might want to tackle this one.
Oh, Danny, I feel you. So from personal experience, what I can say is that my husband at one point, when we first started, even homeschooling the word made my husband very uncomfortable. So when I was transitioning and thinking about unschooling, I did all the reading, right? I did all of the reading. I listened to all the podcasts and whatnot. But what helped us go through it is like we were doing it. But even if I said the word, my husband would just would stop, and his body would become tense. You can tell that he just was not into it. But what we went through deeper conversations. He was having time to actually talk, because the fears that were coming out for him as something that our children would experience. Like, for example, he would say, well, they're not going to learn how to resolve conflict if they don't go to school. I'm like, so you want our children to be bullies so they learn how to resolve conflict? And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But then anything that he said that they wouldn't learn, it was coming from a place of experience that he had in the past through his school years. So I'm not sure what your husband's background is or his experience, but my husband and I came to, through working through his experience in the past, even his experience with homeschooling was was just kind of weird. It was mostly a person that was left out of school per se and was kind of neglected. It really wasn't unschooling, or it wasn't homeschooling at all. So that was his first experience. So working through those events that he had in his life, and then just learning more about it and seeing it. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard because the husband works, is your husband at work all day, or like most of the time? If that's the case, it's kind of hard to see what happens when you see it. Definitely. Yes, it's okay. If I love that you both work at home, and those, if you can go back and like, if you tackle one fear at a time and go back into the experience of what, because there's like different layers of those. It was for my husband, it was the first layer of like an experience that happened at school. For example, he had a teacher where he was drawing a mountain, and he drew like different peaks, on the side of the mountain. And then the teacher like took the paper from him and said, this is not a mountain. And then she drew a triangle just triangle, and she said, this is a mountain. So it really left like really bad experiences for my husband from school, but I'm like, how? But that experience helped him see that not everyone is the same. And then we all have different visions of what a mountain is. And that kind of, and he was very slow. Because I was going like 100 miles per hour, right? I read a lot. I went into Dana's program. I met amazing people that had been doing it for 20 years. So I was like full force into it. And I was always upset with him because I'm like, why can't you see what I see? But it took, tackling his fears and his experience, and then taking those away from the experience that we have with our children. And nowadays, things are a lot better, like he fully embraces the philosophy because he sees the way their dynamics have changed for us. So it takes time. I guess that's like what I could say. Are you like pressed for time in terms of choosing unschooling or perhaps like going to school based on yours, based on the ages of your kiddos? Yes. Oh no, I hope you don't feel that way. It really is just okay, not pressed for time is great. I think it's definitely having time for conversation, And I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know if you have heard like people use like notebooks to sometimes relate things that they may not be able to say in person. Like if you write your thoughts or what you think is happening, and then the other person replies in it with different sentences or words or something, is because sometimes having that conversation to be able to say it out loud, it's hard.
I like what you're saying about being softer and slower.
Yeah.
That and sometimes there are words that are triggering. So homeschool or schooling might
Yes.
be a triggering word.
Yes.
Just for example, I'm not married, so but with my daughter, I love meditation and I love yoga. And for a while I would say, let's do meditation, let's do meditation. And she didn't like that word. So she was, as soon as I said meditation, she was saying, no, 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 because it was triggering her. I'm still not exactly sure why, but I started saying, well, what if we have some relaxed time? What if we do some massage and essential oils? And she was going, oh yeah, that I love. So sometimes there can be triggering words for sure. And then also, I'll just, what you said, Julieta, there's also triggering events. So
Yes.
anytime there's a trigger, there's a fear behind it. There's
Yes.
an experience that
Mhm.
caused it to be there. But when we come, and this is what happened with my upbringing, anytime I was upset, my parents were um they were in charge. So they would come at it, was everything was a fight. Everything was me versus you, and it just didn't work at all, right? So if you just come and maybe just be more curious, come with a
Mhm.
curious attitude and mindset. So like you're saying, it's yeah, it's me versus him right now. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
somehow, if you're the one introducing a newer way, having some of these skills to just be softer and more gentle, and maybe just to take a step back and say, okay, well, let's just, the kids are still young, let's just take homeschooling off the table, unschooling off the table. Who do we want to be as parents?
Mhm.
Do we want to provide an environment that it's okay for them to be themselves, where they can feel, do we want an unconditionally loving atmosphere? Do we want a gentle atmosphere? Or do we want an atmosphere where it's a little bit more top down? So maybe if you can start meeting, I feel that the entryway, really, I feel that the foundation to unschooling, especially unschooling and self-directed education, is peaceful parenting, is conscious parenting. It's really just making the decision that, what, these children are equal souls. We're not,
Mhm.
I'm not above them, and they're not above me either, right?
Mhm.
Because it can go either way. The pendulum can swing where, okay, the kid's in charge and I'm just gonna let them run amok, or it can
Yeah.
go the completely other way where it's the parents are in charge and the kids are subordinates. Um, so I hope some of that was helpful for you, Danny.
Oh, yes. I can totally relate to that, Danny. So yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
I
just
think
for anyone listening, we can just say that Danny is resonating what we're saying, and
mhm,
she's feeling emotional, and she's wanting peaceful parenting, and she's correcting her husband having the opposite effect. Yes, it's so helpful. I'm also
yeah.
thinking that because with my family, my siblings were and they still are involved in helping me raise my child. And, like I said, we came from authoritarian perspective. So top down parents are, it's so funny because my parents would say, we're to be respected. And then I didn't actually like Google like what the actual definition of respect. And respect is actually mutual. And I didn't realize that respect was to be mutual because I was raised that it was top down, right? So the parents
One way.
are more important, they're in charge, they're to be honored. And so anyways, so as I told my siblings that I was going to do it differently, that I wanted to connect with my child, I wanted her to be connected to her intuition, I wanted her to feel loved all the time. I didn't want her to have that duality of like, oh, we love you, but but if you do this, then we're gonna withhold love and attention. And so uh I think just so what happened with me is that just it took time for the adults around me to see how just to be the example.
Mhm.
So just being the example of being a conscious parent, being a peaceful parent, and seeing how my daughter and I's relationship has just flourished and grown, and seeing how they knew that my mom would have, geez, there's incidences that we would have, my mom would have just hit us or slapped us, right? That was that I was in an abusive authoritarian, and instead where I'm just, taking a breath and saying, all right, well, let's talk about this, or maybe we just need some space, or so being the example, I think, is the number one absolute best thing you can do. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, not demanding change,
Mhm.
but yeah, being the example. Exactly.
Yeah. And in addition to being that example, it's like it is as much as sometimes we would like change from other people, we can only be responsible about what we do as a person. Like we are not, you know, responsible for other people's actions. And so therefore we just can't control them. So that to me was a big change, to just be self-responsible for what I was feeling and understanding that I was feeling like, anger. Do you want to say something, Andrea? Or
No, finish, because I hear what you're saying.
yeah, so just to be aware that my feelings were coming from somewhere in my fears were coming from somewhere, just like my husband's fears were coming from somewhere, just knowing that I couldn't change his reaction or his love for the desire to unschool, right? Like that was my passion. Like I found my passion. That was like I went full force in it, and he just found his way. He was uncomfortable with it. So but knowing that I couldn't change that, and it was his journey into unschooling was probably, it felt so liberating for me because I couldn't keep on carrying that. It's just like I was happy with where I was at and I was sharing if he was interested in, but facing and uh it's almost like an onion, the fears, peeling the layers of the onion was extremely helpful. And we did a lot of healing, like personal, that we both didn't know we needed. So
That's a good
I
analogy.
yeah, it was the peeling of the layers. Yes, I think we all need that.
Yeah, and you know what else I was thinking is that if we see someone, acting in a way that isn't peaceful or conscious with our child, and that brings up a trigger in us, then that's an opportunity for us to
Mhm.
investigate, our
Yes.
fears, um,
Mhm.
you know, to unravel our onion. So it's funny because when it comes to conscious parenting, as much as it starts with what's happening with other people, it
Mhm.
really always comes back to self. What are
Mhm.
my fears? What are my passions? Who do I want to be as a parent? What do I need to do to be okay with um, other people's decisions, other people's ways of being? Because it, you know, it really all comes back to ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, it really
For,
does come back to ourselves though. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. I know I have like, a ton more work to do with that, and it is what it is, it doesn't matter how old you are, or, it's just, where you are on your journey. And so I just, yeah, I have a ton more work to do there. And I do it. Like I do, personal growth stuff on my own, and with a couple other people, but, um, I take classes and do it on my own, and it still is very difficult. And it affects how you parent, and yeah, essentially how you
Mhm.
bring up your child. And it's so it's always good to for me, find people that even just, agree in, homeschool, unschool, just have, a spiritual outlook on life, and
Mhm.
anything, and to do have both is even better.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome. How old is your daughter, Deborah?
11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does she go to, do you homeschool right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is it going so far?
Really know what title you want to call it. It's not really a we're home and she learns. That's, really I mean, I don't use curriculum, so I mean, I guess technically if you want to call it unschooling, you can. I
Yeah.
don't care about that, I don't care about titles and stuff like that, but I know some people really, they're really
Mm.
very, that's not unschooling, or that's not, so, but for me, it just is. I think, some people have days where they do both, or they feel like they want to do both, or they, if they, want to use a curriculum. I have before, and they never ever work. They just, I mean, not, they don't flow with my daughter and myself, and how we,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it just doesn't, but
Yes.
people are very, um, they need that, and that's okay. That's okay to have curriculum if that's what you need,
If that's what works, yeah. But if it doesn't work for you, as I love that you know that, and I think that's very good though. It's
yeah,
something that, they when you listen to yourself and to your daughter, to what they need, to what both of you need, that's very important. So good for you.
yeah, yeah, and that's, it's like almost like like you say, check in with yourself, and you're still, trying to grow in those ways too, because it's like two steps forward, or one step forward, two steps back, or maybe vice versa. um if it was just me, I could like figure it out, I think, but like I don't have anybody in my life that like supports or even knows really. Like I don't even, I shared what I was doing with my family when she was younger, and just, oh, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
no, you can't do that. You just can't do that, So I mean, like, and this is the way I am with friends too. I only share certain things that I think that will resonate with them, because I'm not here to really school anybody on anything really. If they want to, talk about something, I'll talk about anything. Like I love to talk about everything, anything. Like I really do. And yeah, so yeah, so I get, the schooling thing is the same way. I mean, Daisy we went to my brother's house a couple weeks ago, and even my brother's son, he's 19, I think now, and he was like, Daisy, how's school going? What grade are you in now? And stuff like that. And she's like, she just kind of looks at me and she goes, fifth, I think. And he goes, oh, you don't even know. It was just kind of funny. She knows that they're very public school minded, and they just don't kind of get it, and that's okay. And like when we're out during the day and we're at the store doing whatever, just our normal daily stuff, people, especially like older people that are around during the day at that time because they're retired or whatever, shouldn't you be in school, young lady, whatever, maybe a little bit more when she was younger, and they like to talk to the young ones, but she just has always known that it's just a different way of people think that way, and we just kind of just appease them, and that's okay, because I don't know, I just don't I don't find it my calling to educate people unless it's like a situation like this. If somebody had questions that I could answer, I would love that, but they're looking for it, and they're doing what they need to do to find those answers, and that's fine. I don't want to just this this is what you should do, and that's not me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's an important point, for sure. And I think that that definitely embraces the, unschooling philosophy and the spiritual philosophy as well, because not only do we honor ourselves and our path, but we also honor everyone else's path. And Deborah, I know you definitely do that. You're very respectful of people's lifestyles. And I think, if it's the same thing, if we're noticing that something happening is triggering us, then it's an invitation for us to do some self-investigation. So if there is a situation with family or in a supermarket, that we can say like, oh, well, what is this triggering within me? And it's just such an awesome philosophy to have, that we're always evolving, we're always growing, we're infinite souls, we're infinite spirits. So knowing that you're always going to evolve and change, and that I like to just take that spiritual concept, and I think it really applies to unschooling and self-directed education, because it's not saying like, oh, this is fixed, this is the way it is, it's always going to be this way, get used to it. Like, I think I actually heard those exact words growing up. Well, let's talk about this, we can learn, we can grow, we can evolve, and taking it one step at a time. With the unschooling and self-directed education, the philosophy does not use a set curriculum, but at the same time, if and when the child is interested, if they say, oh, I want to learn Spanish, and you find a great class or curriculum, then that's when a set curriculum would be introduced, just to be clear on what the philosophy is and isn't. So it's child-led, meaning that when the child is interested in a topic, then perhaps we would find a curriculum or a class or a group, or you could YouTube it, or you might pay for class or lessons. If a child is interested in piano, then perhaps there's a class or a curriculum. But in general, the philosophy is to allow the child's passions and interest to be the leading factor. Right? It's about love and passion and drive and interest. It's about internal inspiration rather than external motivation. So the external motivation might look like something, my child needs to learn by a certain time, so I'm going to go look for some curriculum that I think would be a good fit. So that's not unschooling, that's not self-directed education. If the child is saying, I want to read, can you help me find a program? How do you think we should do this? So just to be clear on what it is and what it isn't. But there's a lot, and at the same time, we're getting close to end time. At the same time, now that I've been in the homeschooling and unschooling world for a while, I've met a lot of kids that say, hey, you know what? I want to go to school. I want to check out school. We've got some COVID homeschool friends that are going back to school for the first time, well, going back to school since COVID, and it's all child-led. And that is totally within the unschooling philosophy. As long as the family can execute it and handle it where the child is saying, hey, I want to go to public school, and the parents are able to enroll them and execute that. So it is quite fascinating to see that as unschooling parents and self-directed parents, we do want to really keep an open mind to what we really want to stay present. And I think sometimes people think it's a hands-off approach, but I think we have to be in tune with our children even more, because they might not, depending on their age, they might not say, hey, I'm looking for a reading curriculum. They might just get passionate about piano or reading or Spanish or some topic where then it's our role to come in and find the best path for them to learn what they're excited and passionate and interested in learning.
Great. I agree with that.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're at just about an hour. Does anyone have any finishing comments or questions? I think we should definitely do this again.
Yeah.
We were doing them like once a month or once a week, and then it kind of tapered off, but I'm always happy to, I love it. It's just great to get together with
Yes.
like-minded people. And
Yeah, it really helps out with the, it's give you a boost of confidence, or just, knowing that other people are doing the same. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I always like wondering how to like speak, or should I be like so personal, or should I just kind of like let it, just be like the the topic, and just let it be that way and not be like personal. And I guess that's maybe for maybe Andrea to sort of guide and just like lay it out, what how to go with it. But yeah, I'm for doing it again. And if anybody wants to do like more more personal stuff, or anything like that is good too, or not.
awesome. All right, Danny, thank you.
Awesome.
You'd love to come
Thanks,
again,
everyone.
and Juliet would. So thank you, everyone. Like I said,
Thank you.
this is going to be, I'll upload it when I get a chance, and we'll definitely have another one.
All right, thank you, Andrea.
All right,
It was
thank you,
good.
everyone. You're
Thanks,
welcome.
everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.